Have you guys heard the term parallel structure before? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Anybody? Yes, no, maybe so. Have you heard parallel structure before? No? Okay, that's okay. That's all right. I don't expect you guys to know everything because that's why you're in school, to learn stuff. So, parallel structure, this is the definition of parallel structure. And in your quiz, you will see a multi-select, yes, multi-select fill in the blank, okay? So parallel structure is the repetition of the same, nope, my goodness, I want the pen tool. There we go, pen tool. Okay, repetition of the same pattern of words or phrases within a sentence or passage to show that two or more ideas have the same level of importance. Okay, so that's what you're selecting in question number 1. Same pattern of words with the same level of importance. Okay, so for example, and I'm going to activate this so you guys can click that button on the board once you have answered this question in your quiz. So for example, Mary likes hiking, swimming, and bicycling. So all 3 of these words, these are the things that Mary likes. They are the same pattern. They all have that ing ending. Hiking, swimming, and bicycling. Okay, see it? Same pattern? Yes? Thumbs up, thumbs down. You guys got to talk to me. I need some feedback from you. It's a two-way street. It's not just me talking to you. You got to respond. Okay, thumbs up. Okay, so that's one way that that sentence could be written. We have another one. Mary hiked with the ed ending, swam, still past tense, and rode a bicycle, still past tense. So even though the past tense forms of the verbs don't always have the same ending, it's still past tense. Okay, make sense? That's where it can get a little tricky. Okay, thumbs up. Fantastic. So now this next one, Mary likes to hike, to swim, and ride bicycles? What happened? What happened right here? What are we missing? Is that right? What's going on? Mary likes to hike, to swim, and ride bicycles? To ride. Yes, that's right. And they fixed it down here. To ride bicycles. We got to have that same pattern. And note, I don't know if you guys noticed when I read it, I kind of paused and tripped up a little when I said the last part because it doesn't flow off the tongue right if it's not the same pattern. So try and say this out loud. Just out loud to yourself. Mary likes to hike, to swim, and ride bicycles. It sounds weird, right? It feels weird when you say, because if you guys aren't answering them right now, you're just wasting your own time for later because you're here anyway, so you might as well. Okay, so when should we use parallel structure? I'm going to tell you. So there are 3 times when you need to make sure that you have parallel structure. And really, you should always use parallel structure within all of your writing. If you're writing an essay or something, it should all be in the same tense and stuff. But when you're talking about single sentences by themselves, you got to look very closely at when a sentence has compound elements, comparisons, and correlative conjunctions. Okay. Compound elements is when a section of the sentence is made up of 2 or more parts. Comparisons is when we evaluate two or more things, and correlative conjunctions are pairs of conjunctions. They're conjunctions such as neither nor, not only, and but also. Okay. All right. So these are the three times you should use parallel structure when a sentence contains one or more of these things: compound elements, comparisons, correlative conjunctions. Select those in your quiz and then click the button on the board. We're going to talk about each of these different situations one at a time. So let's start with compound elements. Okay, so compound elements are, and you have the definition of compound elements in your quiz. Come on, Engagely, what are you doing? There we go. Compound elements are when a section of the sentence has two or more parts. Do you guys remember our sentence structure? Subject, verb, object. You guys remember that? We talked a lot about that when we did misplaced and dangling modifiers. Yes, no, maybe so. Yes, okay. So that's very important that you guys remember that, because we're going to be looking at that now. So each part of the sentence could have a compound element. Okay. We could have a compound subject, we could have a compound verb, and we could have a compound direct object. Okay. So make sure you have that definition. Compound elements are when a section of a sentence, or are a section of a sentence that's made up of two or more parts. Okay. So let's take a look at what each of those means. So you're going to match up the compound element with its definition. Okay. So a compound subject is two or more nouns or pronouns acting as the subject of the same verb. Okay. So if there's a compound subject, it means there are more than one noun or pronoun doing the same action. Okay. It's not necessarily about how many people or things, it's the nouns or pronouns. How many nouns or pronouns? Okay. So we're going to have more than one subject doing the same verb. That's supposed to be an arrow. There we go. Doing the same verb. Okay. Two or more subjects doing the same verb. Yes? And I'm going to show you examples too after this. Make sense? Thumbs up. Compound subject. Okay. Compound verb is when we have the one subject doing more than one thing. So the subjects are doing that, and the subjects are doing that. Okay? Subject doing more than one thing. Yes? It's really hard to draw on the board. My arrows are wonky. And we could have a compound direct object where the direct object consists of more than one noun or pronoun. So we would have the subject doing an action, the verb, and then there are more than one direct object receiving that action. But the subject is still only doing one thing. Make sense? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, awesome. I wish I was getting more feedback from you guys. But that's okay. It's your grade. I mean, I'll bug you later if it's not submitted. I just think it's easier if you do it now. All right. So let's look at sentence structure. And this should just be a review because we talked a lot about sentence structure when we did misplaced and dangling modifiers. So this should not be new information. This should already make sense to you. Okay. So sentence, and select the button on the board once you have answered this question in the board, in the, my goodness, in the quiz, because question 5 is all about sentence structure. So subject, verb, direct object. So we have Jenny baked the cake. Jenny is the subject because she's the one doing the baking. Baked is the verb because that's the action that the subject is doing. The cake is the direct object because the cake is receiving the action of being baked. Okay. And the action in sentences flows from the subject to the direct object. Okay. Make sense? Subject is doing something, direct object is receiving that action. Okay, good. All right. And I still only see 8 of you have clicked that button. Hopefully you're all answering this in your quiz because we're going to look at some examples of the compound elements. Okay. So if we have a compound subject, it could look like this. Jenny and Kelly baked the cake. So we have more than one noun or pronoun doing the action. Okay. Jenny and Kelly. And this, remember, the subjects, we have 2 subjects here. The subjects don't always have to be singular people, right? I could say, I don't think I have a text box capability here. So I'm going to annotate. Nope. Let's close this first. There we go. Okay, so let me annotate. So I could say my sisters and Kelly baked the cake. How many subjects do we have? If I changed it to my sisters and Kelly, how many subjects do we have? 2, right? Yep. 2 subjects. My sisters is a subject. Kelly is a subject. What if I just wrote my sisters baked the cake? How many subjects do we have? 1 subject, right. So it's not about the amount of people. Okay, it's about the amount of nouns or pronouns. Okay, does that make sense? So my sisters, 1 subject. My sisters and Kelly, 2 subjects. Jenny and Kelly, 2 subjects. Okay, awesome. I had a little bit of confusion with that last period, and it was probably my fault because I don't think I explained it great. So now I'm trying to explain it better. Okay, so that's a compound subject. So now a compound verb, there are more than 1 verb. Jenny baked and dropped the cake. And we got to make sure each verb has the same ending. So we would not say, and I'm going to annotate again, oh my goodness, Engagely. There we go. And I'm gonna put this in red because this would not be right. We would not say Jenny baked and is dropping the cake. So that would be wrong. Okay, do you guys see that? Because that's not parallel structure. Make sense? So that would be no. Okay, good. All right. So now compound direct object is when there's more than one direct object receiving the action. So in this case, the action is baked. It's the cake and the cookies. And notice we have the in front of both of them. Same pattern. That's parallel structure. The cake and the cookies. They're both receiving that action. Two direct objects. And this is the same as the subject. We know there are more than one cookies, right? There's not one cookie. She's not baking one cookie and one cake. She's baking the cake and the cookies. So we know there's lots of cookies, but it's still only one direct object here and one direct object here. Okay, makes sense? Okay, good. Please ask me questions or stop me if I'm going too fast. All right. Okay, so let's practice. And let's hope that Engagely likes all of these QR tags. It didn't like one of them earlier today. So, and it could be because this thing is in the way of it. Could be. So we'll see. Oh, it did it. Yay. So we are looking for, let me see if I can get my pen tool here. There we go. We are looking for the compound subject, only the compound subject. Okay. Remember, the subject is two or more, the compound subject is two or more nouns or pronouns acting as the subject of the same verb. Okay. Compound subject. So let me get a timer up on the board. And if you look in your quiz, you'll see these same sentences. How many correct answers do we have in question number 6? 4, right? So we're looking for 4 sentences that have a compound subject. Cassie and Andy like to study in the morning. How many subjects like to study? How many subjects are doing that verb of liking to study? 2. Yep, 2. We got Cassie. And we got Andy. That's 2. So that one definitely has a compound subject. How about the next one? I hurt my ankle and my wrist on the hike. How many subjects are hurt? Hurt is the verb. How many subjects hurt? Only one, just the I. So that's not a compound subject. It might have a compound something else, but we are only looking for the compound subjects in this one. I baked cookies and cakes. How many subjects baked? Only the one, just I. Jack and Jill went up the hill. How many subjects went up the hill? 2. Yeah, we got Jack and we got Jill. So that's a compound subject. Steve was singing and playing bass at the concert. How many subjects were singing and playing bass? Just Steve. Yep, just Steve. The boys played games and rode bicycles. How many subjects played games and rode bicycles? Just one. Yep, the boys. We don't know how many boys are in that subject, but it doesn't matter because it's not about how many people, it's about how many subjects. One subject. Good job. Okay. Pizza or pasta sounds good for dinner. How many things sound good for dinner? 2. 2 subjects there, pizza or pasta. So that's a compound subject. Mary likes mountains, rivers, and valleys. How many subjects like mountains, rivers, and valleys? Just the one, just Mary. My mother and I are going to the store. How many subjects are going to the store? 2 subjects. That's right. We got my mother and I going to the store. So that's 2 subjects. Clara wants not only money, but also fame. So how many subjects want money and fame? Just the one. Yeah, just the one. Okay. Did that help? Did that help show you the difference so far? Looking good? How you guys feeling? Got a thumbs up? How about everybody else? How you feeling? Okay, more thumbs up. Okay, cool. All right. You'll see these same sentences in your quiz. And I'm going to share the results there so you can see it. So let's just talk about it. Okay? We'll just talk about all of it because if we don't remember, that's okay. So we were talking about compound verbs. All right. So Casey and Andy like to study in the morning. What are Casey and Andy doing? What's the verb? It doesn't say they're studying. What does it say they're doing? We're looking for the verb. And let's remember our sentence structure, subject. If I could spell today, that'd be great. Subject, verb, object, in that order. So Casey and Andy are our subjects. So what's the verb? Like, there we go. So that is what they are doing. They like. How many verbs is that? How many verbs is that? Only one verb. So is that a compound verb? No, because they're only doing one thing. Okay. I hurt my ankle and my wrist on the hike. What did I do? What's the verb? What did I do? Hurt. Right. So I hurt. Any other verbs? Nope. No other verbs. Okay. I baked and dropped the cookies. What did I do? Baked and dropped. Okay. Baked and dropped. How many verbs is that? 2 verbs being done by the same subject. So remember, that's the key. They have to be done by the same subject. Jack and Jill went up the hill. Jack and Jill did what? What's the verb? Don't skip words. Okay. Went. Jack and Jill went. All right. Steve was singing and playing bass at the concert. What was Steve doing? Okay. Singing and playing. And just so you guys know, we got a helping verb in this sentence. Was is a helping verb, and it's helping both of those verbs. Okay. So if we there are a couple of ways that you can write sentences when you're trying to do parallel structure, and this is one of them. But they could also write Steve was singing and was playing bass at the concert. Okay, so whichever, as the author, whichever way you want to do it is fine, as long as it is consistent. So it's okay to have the helping verb work with both of them and just keep one. Okay, does that make sense? And if we separated the sentences, it would be Steve was singing and Steve was playing. Okay, so Steve's doing two things. So there we go. The boys played and destroyed the games. What did the boys do? Played and destroyed. Played, destroyed. And that's two things that they did. Pizza or pasta sounds good for dinner. Pizza and pasta is our subject. So what's the verb? Just remember our sentence structure, subject, verb, object in that order. So the verb comes after the subject. Yeah, sounds. That's right. It's a weird one, I know, but that's okay. And they're only doing the one thing. They're only sounding good. Mary likes mountains, rivers, and valleys. Mary's doing what? Likes. That's right. Mary likes. My mother and I are going to the store. What are my mother and I doing? Let's not forget about those helping verbs too. Are going. Okay. And Clara wants not only money, but also fame. Clara's doing what? Is that what she's doing? What's she doing? What's the action? She wants. That's the action. That's right. Clara wants. Okay. Makes sense? Same subject, doing more than one thing. Thumbs up if that makes sense. All right. Okay. So let's move on to compound objects. Come on, engage. All right, compound objects. So remember, compound objects are when there are more than one object receiving the same action. So which sentence has a compound object? More than one object receiving the same action. So Casey and Andy like to what? What do they like to do? What is the thing that they like? They like to study in the morning. That's right. So that's the one thing that they like. I hurt my ankle and my wrist on the hike. So what did I hurt? Ankle and wrist. Yep, my ankle, my wrist. Both of those are receiving the action of being hurt. So two things, receiving the action of being hurt. I baked cookies and cakes. What did I bake? Cookies and cakes. That's right. Cookies, cakes. They're both receiving the action of being baked. Two things receiving the action of being baked. Jack and Jill went up the hill. Jack and Jill went where? Where did Jack and Jill go? Up the hill. So how many places did they go? Just one. Okay. So not compound. All right. Steve was singing and playing bass at the concert. So remember, compound objects are receiving the same action. So we got to look at the verbs. So our verbs were singing and playing. So is there an object that is receiving the action of singing? Steve is doing the singing. He's not receiving the action of singing. So yeah, no, there's no object receiving the action of singing, and that's okay. Okay, so no object for that verb. How about the next verb, playing? Is there anything receiving the action of playing? Bass. That's right. So bass is receiving the action of playing. Anything else receiving the action of playing? Nope. Okay. So we got two verbs. One has no objects and one only has one object. So not a compound object. The boys rode bicycles and scooters. The boys rode what? Bicycles and scooters. That's right. So they rode two things. So two things are receiving that action of being ridden. I ate pizza and pasta for dinner. I ate what? Pizza and pasta. So there are two things receiving that action of being eaten. Mary likes mountains, rivers, and valleys. Mary likes what? All right, mountains, rivers, and valleys. So we got three things that are receiving that action of being liked. And that's okay, because compound just means more than one. My mother and I are going to the store. My mother and I are going where? To the store. So only one object for our going. Clara wants money and fame. Clara wants what? Money and fame. So two things receiving the action of being wanted. Okay. Make sense? Yes, no, maybe so. Right. Awesome. Good job. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Okay. And we still have 15 minutes. Wow. Okay. So we have a sentence on the board. Tonight I will do my homework and watch TV. So we have some kind of compound element in this sentence. Your job is to figure out what it is. Does it have a compound subject? Does it have a compound verb? Or does it have a compound direct object? Tonight I will do my homework and watch TV. And it's okay. I put this sentence on the board on purpose because I knew it was going to be tricky and I wanted to talk about it. So let's go over it. So what's the subject of this sentence? I, that's right. I is the subject of the sentence. So let me label that. I'm also going to highlight it just so we can see everything. I is our subject. So what is I doing? What are the verbs that I is doing? Homework is a noun. TV is a noun. So, for example, if I grab this paper and I'm like, this is my homework. So this is a noun. So this is not an action. So what's the action that the homework is receiving? Will do. There we go. Good job. Will do is a verb. Okay. I thought so. Sometimes you just need to see it, right? I try and come up with different ways to explain things. Okay, so will do. Who is doing the action? Who's doing the action of will do? I'm going to give you a hint. The subject is always doing the action. I. Okay, so I'm going to draw an arrow to will do so we know the subject is doing the action. Okay, is there anything else that the subject is doing? Just the verb. Can you put it in the main chat? I want you guys to get more confident with your answers. There we go. Watch. Okay. So watch is also a verb. And who's doing that action? I. Okay, so I'm going to draw another arrow from I to this verb as well. So how many actions is the subject doing? We got 2 actions that the subject's doing, so that's a compound verb. Okay, so now let's look at the objects. So what are the objects? One at a time. What are the objects receiving the actions? Okay, my homework is an object. So what action is my homework receiving? Will do. Very good. And thank you for using the words that are in the sentence. That makes it so much easier. So my homework is receiving the action of getting done. And what's another object? TV. Okay. And what action is TV receiving? Watch. Okay. So do we have a compound direct object? Remember, to have a good job, no. To have a compound direct object, more than one object has to be receiving the same action. So these objects are receiving 2 different actions. That's right. Okay. So it's okay if you need to write stuff down on a piece of paper and label it like this and draw arrows and stuff. That always helps me. And I know people learn differently, but maybe that'll help for any visual learners out there because you can see it. All right. So that's a compound verb. All right. So we have, yay, we have 9 minutes left. So we have time to watch this video because this video is only 5 minutes long. take a look at these sentences on the board. I love singing more than to draw. Dave's favorite hobbies are kayaking, to cook, and painting. So I'm going to give you guys whiteboard tools as soon as Engagely stops loading. Come on, Engagely. You guys can also use the chat box if Engagely is not going to let me use the annotation tool. There we go. Okay. You guys have whiteboard tools. So let's fix these sentences. And there could be more than one way to fix the sentence. So you can put as many different ways as you want on the board to fix these sentences. I love singing more than to draw. Dave's favorite hobbies are kayaking, to cook, and painting. So how can we fix those sentences? What's wrong with them? Let's start with the first one. What's wrong with that sentence? I love singing more than to draw. What's wrong with it? Anybody? So we're looking at this first sentence. What's wrong with it? Okay. So what should it be? Oh, there we go. I love singing more than drawing. That's so much better. It sounds better too, right? Yeah, thumbs up. Sounds better. Ooh, party hat emoji. Love it. All right, how about Dave's favorite hobbies? There's nothing wrong with his hobbies, but there is something wrong with how they're written. There we go. Gotta have that ing, and you could completely reword it and have a different ending if you didn't want the ing endings. But that's the easiest fix, right? Since 2 out of the 3 have an ing ending, it's easier just to fix the one that doesn't. All right, fantastic. And then we have some options below. So we need to figure out which options fit the best in the sentence, and we have to make sure they are in parallel structure. So the sentence says, the teacher told the students that they should blank, blank, and blank. Okay, so I'm going to activate these, and you guys can pick which ones you think fit in there the best. Make sure they're in parallel structure. Read it out loud to yourself and see how it sounds. Let me get a timer up here. So there are 3 blanks, so you should be selecting 3 options. So it's not all of them, okay? And some people maybe didn't read it out loud or something. We need to make sure whatever we're picking, number 1, sounds the best, and number 2 is in parallel structure. So there are 2 sets of answers. One of the sets has a 2 in front of it. 2 study their notes, 2 read more often, 2 eat a good breakfast. And the other set doesn't. Study their notes, eat a good breakfast, read more often. Okay. So we got to ask ourselves whether or not we need the 2. Okay. The teacher told the students that they should blank, blank, and blank. So let's pick one, and we're just going to say it with 1 just to test it out. Okay. And I want you guys to say this out loud too. The teacher told the students that they should to study their notes. I'm going to put that in the chat box. The teacher told the students that they should to study their notes. Does that make sense? Got a thumbs down. Okay. Yeah, that too sounds weird. The teacher told the students that they should to study their notes. Sounds weird. So if we take the two out, let's try it. The teacher told the students that they should study their notes. How's that sound? Okay, I'm going to put that one in the chat box now. So you guys know how you can react to stuff in the chat box, right? You can hover your mouse over and there's an emoji thing and you can put an emoji underneath comments in the chat box. Do that for these two comments. Which one sounds better? Oh, we got a thumbs down on the top one. That's good too. I like that. I want to see more. I see 2 on each in the chat box. Everyone in the chat box. Hover your mouse over the comment and then click the smiley face icon and it'll let you pick an emoji. I love that feature. It's pretty cool. Okay. You guys are awesome. Yeah, that second one sounds a whole lot better without the 2. The teacher told the students that they should study their notes, eat a good breakfast, and read more often. Okay. Make sense? Big thumbs up. Okay. And party hat emoji. Fantastic. I love that this class uses the party hat emoji. I think it's my only class that uses the party hat emoji. But I love it. Okay. So let's stop that. There we go. More party hat emojis. I'm going to get my pen tool there. Okay. So now let's try this one. The sentence is worded slightly differently. So we're going to need to change what goes in the blanks slightly. Okay, so let me activate these. So what goes in these blanks? The teacher told the students blank, blank, and blank. Let me get a timer up too. Okay, I see 8 of you have responded. Let's get more of you to respond. It's not all of them. It's not all of them. So we got to decide whether that 2 makes sense. Okay. So let's try it again. The teacher told the students to study their notes. Yeah, don't get tricked. Do we need the 2 this time? The teacher told the students to study their notes. Let's put it in the chat box. Sometimes we need to see it together. The teacher told the students to study their notes. If I could spell, that'd be great. I spelled students wrong. That's okay. It happens. Let's get that N in there. Students. There we go. Now it's fixed. Okay. What do you guys think? The teacher told the students to study their notes. Got a thumbs up under it in the chat box. Okay. Anybody else? Got more floating thumbs up. Okay, let's see how it looks the other way. The teacher told the students study their notes. How's that look? This one's tough, huh? Without the 2, it just, there's something off about it. It's not quite right. So in this case, we need the 2. Okay? The teacher told the students to study their notes, to read more often, and to eat a good breakfast. So if we didn't want the 2 in front of all 3 of them, we would need to put it as part of the rest of the sentence. Okay, does that make sense? So you can either have it once at the beginning or with all of them. Does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, awesome. Alrighty. I love that party hat emoji. Helps me get through till lunch. All right, how about this one? Blank, blank, and blank were the responsibility of the children. Which set do we need? You're right. Let's get a timer up here. I see 9 responses. All right, and Alec, you are right in the chat box. The ones that don't have a 2 are the ones that fit in this sentence. Washing the clothes, dusting the bookshelf, and mopping the floor were the responsibility of the children. Okay, it would sound super weird with the 2. To do the laundry, to mop the floor, and to dust the bookshelf were the responsibility of the children. That doesn't make sense. So it's the ones without the 2. Okay. All right. Party hat emoji. They got to be parallel. They got to be parallel. So all 3 blanks have to have the same form. Okay. Let's talk about parallel structure when comparing things. We spent a lot of time on compound elements, but compound elements is what you're going to see most of. But let's talk about comparing things real quick. Okay, so in this sentence, we are comparing something, and I want you guys to tell me what it is that we're comparing. And then I'm going to activate this, and you guys can click the button once you answer in your quiz. Videos that have cats in them are more interesting than videos that have dogs in them. So what do you think? Are we comparing cats and dogs? So when you see a sentence like this where you're comparing things, you have to think of it like a scale. Have you guys seen those scales where you put weights on them or you can put other stuff on them and you see how much it weighs because you have weights on one side? Yeah. So it kind of looks like this. I'm going to draw it. Ooh, that's horrible. Let me try that again. There we go. Let's try that one more time. I'm not doing great at drawing today. There we go. There's one side of the scale. And there's another side of the scale. Something like that, right? You guys have seen something like that? So when we're comparing things, sometimes it's easiest to figure out what the middle of the scale is in the sentence, okay? So the middle of the scale. So what are we saying about the two things that we're comparing? One of them is what compared to the other one? More interesting. Okay. So we have one thing is more interesting than the other thing. Okay, so more interesting than is like the middle of our scale right here. Okay, so now whatever is on either side of that scale is what we're comparing. Okay, so we got to figure out what's on either side of the scale. So let me change my color. So on the left side of the scale, it says videos that have cats in them. So we have videos. Does the other side of the scale have videos? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yes, it does. Sure does. Okay. And what do these videos have? So we have that have, that have. One of them has, whoops, one of them has cats. One of them has dogs in them. In them. Okay. So they're parallel, right? They have the same form. Videos that have blank in them is our form. Got it? So what are we comparing? We're comparing everything on the left to everything on the right. And those are like what would go on either side of the scale. So what are we comparing? We got to make sure we use all of the right words. There we go. Videos that have cats in them and videos that have dogs in them. That's what we're comparing. We're not comparing videos that have cats with dogs. We're not comparing cats with dogs. We're not comparing videos with dogs, right? We're comparing videos that have cats in them and videos that have dogs in them. Okay? Parallel structure. To make it even, like our scale here, we got to have all the parts. All right. Awesome. Good job. There we go. Videos that have cats in them, videos that have dogs in them. Come on, Engagely. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about correlative conjunctions. And you've seen other conjunctions before. We talked about coordinating conjunctions in the warm-ups this week. Now we're talking about correlative conjunctions. And again, I don't expect you guys to have all of this stuff memorized. It's okay to look stuff up if you need to. Okay, so correlative conjunctions are a pair of conjunctions that are used to connect grammatically similar elements. very similar to the comparing sentence that we just looked at. With correlative conjunctions, it's also going to kind of be like a scale. So anything between and after the correlative conjunctions have to have the same form. So they're a pair of conjunctions used to connect grammatically similar elements. Select those in your quiz. And then these are some examples of the correlative conjunctions: both and, either or, whether or, neither nor, not only but also. Okay, they're pairs. And whatever goes here and here needs to be the same form. Okay, and I don't want you guys to get confused with the different types of conjunctions. We've seen and or and nor before, right? We saw those with the coordinating conjunctions during the warm-up, right? We talked about them. We spent a lot of time on the word nor this morning, right? So I don't want you to get confused that you also see them here. These words are always conjunctions, but depending on how they're used, they could be a correlative conjunction if they're in a pair. They could be a coordinating conjunction if they're connecting two independent clauses. Okay, but those words are always conjunctions. Okay, okay. Any questions so far? We're going to look at some example sentences. Any questions? You guys got this? Everybody? In your quiz? No questions? Okay. So here are some examples. And you're going to see a couple of these examples in your quiz. We were told to either reduce the staff or find new customers. So whatever is between and after the conjunction has to be the same form. So we have a verb, there we go, object, verb, object. Okay, that's our form. We have a to outside of the correlative conjunctions, so we don't need it in between. In the second example, they decided to put the to within the correlative conjunctions. So you need it with both of them. Just like that example we looked at today with the 3 blanks, my goodness, I can't think today. I'm starving right now. The compound element. When we saw that, it had the to. So if you choose to put the to between the correlative conjunctions, it has to be in both of them. And it still has the same pattern otherwise. Okay. Or we can also do it with the ing ending forms as well. Agnes was neither going to classes nor doing her assignments. And in this case, the helping verb was is outside the correlative conjunction. So we don't need a helping verb in front of them inside. You could say Agnes neither was going to classes nor was doing her assignments. That's one way to do it. I like it better this way. Okay. So whatever is in there has to be on both sides. Okay. Makes sense? Yes, no, maybe so. All right. Awesome. So the rest of the quiz is on your own. So you got to read the directions carefully, make sure you know exactly what it's asking you. You got to fix sentences. You got to make sure sentences are in parallel structure. Okay, read them out loud. I feel like reading stuff out loud is always very helpful. Submit it once you're done. It's multiple choice, so those points will go directly into the grade book as soon as you submit it.